a little more from the Biden campaign, their immediate reaction to this.
Lester, we are, and our Monica Alba, who covers the Biden campaign, has this reporting that according to a campaign official, the Biden campaign is pausing all outbound communications and working to pull down our television ads as quickly as possible. And Lester, this underscores part of the conversation we were having earlier, which is that this is a moment that brings the country together in shock, in condemnation for this political violence. We are hearing from all quarters of the political universe, including some of those who have been quite critical of former President Trump. Liz Cheney, for example, saying the reports of the shooting in Pennsylvania are horrifying. Violence of any kind has no place in American politics. We are grateful for the reaction of the Secret Service and other law enforcement and pray for the former president and all those injured. Similar messages from former President George W. Bush, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and on, Lester. And it does come on the eve of the Republican National Convention. Former President Trump, his campaign apparatus, Republicans all over the country poised to go to Milwaukee to officially nominate former President Trump as their party's nominee. And as Hallie was just saying, we anticipated and we were working on trying to determine who the former president would pick to serve as his vice presidential nominee. And now, of course, the focus has shifted to this horrifying topic of political violence and what this country needs to do to prevent something like this from happening again, Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker. Kristen, thanks very much. Let me reset here for our viewers.
If you just tuned in,
we are on the air with
the Democratic Party just tried to take a shot at Trump. They missed. As you can see, he got blood on him, but he's still here, baby. He's still here.
He was injured is not clear at this time. I want to pause here. We're going to roll the video of what happened just shortly after 6 p.m. here in the East while Mr. Trump was speaking. Here it is.
But all that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
It looked like he was hit. He grabbed. He was hit. They took a shot at the big Trump stick. They try to take Trump out of America. This is what's going on in America.
Ready? Move! Up! Move! Go! Up! Talk out here! Get ready! Get ready! You ready? Out! Out! Good! Push down! Are we good to move? Good to move! We're clear! We're clear!
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head, buddy. So we gotta move to the front. Watch out.
I want to bring in now Evie Pouris, a former Secret Service agent. We thank you for joining us again. We hear at one point, I didn't hear this in the earlier recordings, we hear at one point one of the tactical clothed individuals say the shooter is down. As you watch that unfold, I take it they were not prepared to move him until they knew where the threat was.
Yes, you can hear that clear line of communication, and the communication is very clear and succinct. Can we move? Are we clear? You hear shooters down, and you hear, are we clear to move? Clear to move. So you're hearing them speak to one another. And radio communication is one of the most important things. Actually, when it comes to comms, you always want to say less. So you can hear them using very simple words, 3, 4 words. They just want to keep those airwaves clear so that the most important
no random person can just go and shoot at a president. That's what they're going to be telling you for the next couple of days, that it's just a random person. Listen, no random person nothing can get that close to the President of the United States. This is not a random shooting. Let's not believe the Lee Harvey Oswald bullshit. Let's not. No, this is coordinated. This is with help. A random person can't get that close with a rifle when all these presidential type of people are in town. Stop it.
So as they're hunkered down, they're locking him down. And if you look at the shot, actually, there's a shot where you can see the front of the stage, and around it, you'll see that design, that almost like a smaller, like a design barrier. It's got the flag around it. That typically, and I can't say whether it is or is not in this case, but in some scenarios, when you work as a side agent, you will pick a barricade that's actually something strong and sturdy. It could be concrete or steel. Usually it's some type of steel, and that is used for that when something does happen. Unfortunately, like we're seeing here, they can actually get down to the ground so that they have some type of cover.
Abby, thanks. Really important information we're learning from you. I want to let folks know we believe moments away from hearing President Biden. He is going to stand at that podium, and we believe this is in Delaware. Somebody can confirm for me. But he will address the nation about these events tonight in Florida. The shooting that apparently wounded former President Trump, who is said to be okay. It killed a spectator, wounded another who's in critical condition. The shooter, who has not been identified, we know nothing about that person's background or what might have motivated him. That shooter is said to be deceased as well. This story has been rolling out, and here is the president.
Thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to the other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well. Number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do, okay?
Mr. President, do you think it was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried about safety? Was the security failing?
The president stopping short of calling this an assassination attempt, but just noting that he plans to talk to Donald Trump and that his understanding is the former president is doing well. President Biden speaking out against the scourge of political violence, saying there's no room for this. And as we had reported a few moments ago, the Biden campaign moving to take down its advertising, a pause in its political advertising in the wake of this. We know that the president couldn't confirm, but we have confirmed that at least 2 spectators were shot, 1 killed, another who was in critical condition, and again, the shooter, who we don't know a lot about right now, is also deceased. Let me go back to Kristen Welker in our Washington, D.C. bureau. The White House getting out in front of this very quickly, Kristen.
Lester, they sure are. And President Biden condemning this in the strongest terms possible, which is what you would anticipated. He has long condemned political violence. He said this is unheard of. Everybody must condemn it.
So
he
if he
did
just
say he
tuned
had tried
in,
to speak with the former president, who he referred to.
I'm calling it early. The Democrats took their shot at Donald Trump. They like, yo,
briefings.
Biden won't step down.
From his federal agency.
We can't beat him, so we gotta take him out. And they missed, man. Because listen, nobody gets in the vicinity of an area with a weapon to take shots at the president unless they got inside help.
As the Trump campaign is in a media blackout, and it speaks to, Lester, the seriousness.
They want you to believe the lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald bullshit, and that's not the truth.
In our American politics, in our country, this act of political violence, which, as the president said, cannot and will not be tolerated. And it does come as everyone is preparing to go to Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, another event that will be met with heavy security. The perimeter there will be.
If you just tuned in, there was a shooting at the Trump rally today.
Area where the convention is taking place.
The shooting at the former President Trump rally.
Making sure that no one is
being investigated as attempt assassination of the former president and presumptive Republican nominee. Law enforcement officials says it was not immediately clear whether Trump was shot, but the former president campaign quickly said that he was fine. A local prosecutor said the suspect and gunman, at least one attendee, are dead. President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for a quick response.
To our colleague Peter Nicholas, that you heard President Biden say he tried to reach former President Trump on the phone. We know that the former president's son has spoken with him in a statement saying they just talked on the phone, with Donald Trump Jr. saying that his dad is in great spirits, that he will never stop fighting to save America, no matter what in Donald Trump Jr.'s words, no matter what the radical left throws at him. So what we can glean from this, a couple of things, that former President Trump is, as his campaign says, fine. He is well enough to speak. He is well enough to be on the phone, at least with his immediate family members, at least with his son, Donald Trump Jr. We know that he is receiving medical treatment at a local facility with this rally happening, of course, in Butler, Pennsylvania. And we know that there has been a slew of reaction, as Kristen, as you, as others have talked about from both sides of the aisle here, strongly condemning political violence after this very difficult day.
Goddamn Democrats took a shot at Donald Trump. They trying to take him out. They know they can't beat him. Biden won't step down. This is the only way. And this right here just gave him the election. Who is not gonna vote for the man who got shot at on the campaign trail? Who's not gonna vote for this man? This gives him the election. They took a shot and they missed, and now that is your next United States president of America.
We spoke for about 10 minutes. I was sitting in the front row at the end of the runway, but all of a sudden these shots broke out, and I think there was people that actually thought it was possibly fireworks. But I seen the gun smoke, and obviously there was a person about 15 foot behind me that was hit. I think severely wounded at the least, but nonetheless,
nobody without help can get that close to shoot at a president. There is no guns in this area, in this zone, because when ex-presidents come through, they clear it out. This shooter definitely had help, but they know Americans are dumb, and they gonna say it was Lee Harvey Oswald who took a shot at Trump. That's what they gonna say. That's what they're gonna tell you. And all you dummies in America are gonna believe it. That is a fact.
That he typically does everywhere, and trying to encourage voters to get out and vote, and talking about his plan for America.
But as the shots rang out, did he cry out? Did someone tell him to get down, or was that instinctive?
Yeah, we heard that. We heard everybody say get down, but I think he was already going down.
You know me, I got jokes. I ain't gonna lie. Pre the shots and after he got shot, when they pulled him up, he looked 50 years older. He looked like he aged that quick from pre-shooting to after. Yeah, he gained about 20 years.
When he went down to the ground, then he got up. He put his fist up in the air or his hand up in the air, so we knew he was okay.
There are,
I gotta go with both sides. Did Donald Trump set this up? I mean, it could be both. The Democrats took a shot at him and he set it up, because I will never believe in my life that a person got this close with a gun to shoot a president. That just doesn't happen in this day and time. So whoever this person was, he had help of some very powerful people. Believe that.
Going through my mind, and of course being a little older than many of those that were there, but I was recalling the Kennedy assassinations and some of the other attempts that were made during my lifetime, and I was recalling those and thinking about those, and then moving forward to where we're at today, and we still have a problem with this. So it's shocking, but most people are pretty upset. There's no question about it.
Understandably. Ambassador, thank you so much for taking the time being with us. We're glad you and yours are safe after this tonight. Retired ATF Special Agent Jim Cavanaugh is with me. By now, as you know, we've been reporting that the shooter in this case is deceased, presumably shot by law enforcement.
And of course,
I think the next question will be, is this...
And of course the shooter is dead, so he can't tell us he was paid by the Democrats or he was paid by Trump team to make it look good. Of course he's dead, of course.
Together.
Yeah, well, let's start with the deceased shooter, Lester, and identify him, and then, sweep his personal devices, phone, computer, etc., for, associates, Confederates, and start interviewing around the circle around him. You've dug out a lot from the reporters and the witnesses since we last talked, and it appears that maybe the shooter. It seemed like to me, watching the video closely, that the first shot or two is where the President Trump reacts. Hey,
Jim, let me just stop you for a second. I just received a new piece of information that I want to get your thoughts on. We're now, from a confirmed source, that the shooter was actually firing from outside the perimeter. That changes a lot in terms of the security posture at these things, doesn't it?
Now, here's how you know that they're full of shit, and we going into the Lee Harvey hours word already. They already putting these stories together, because how you got all this information that quick? Just that quick. Yeah. Oh, it was outside of the perimeter. It was this, it was that. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
At any kind of a Secret Service event, because the first thing that the service...
Hey, if you in here, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, click all, so you can get notifications every time I drop videos and go live. It's how the big channels got big. People gave them a shot.
That the reason the shot wasn't as loud, it was further off in the distance. And it looked like, watching the video, Lester, closely, that when the president turned his head to the right, the first shot or second shot, the first pop or two, is when he grabs his right ear. And then he, on his own volition, goes down, squats down. He doesn't fall down, he just squats down. But you can see at that same moment that the spectators behind him are also hunching down as a normal reaction to gunfire. And then there's more rounds right after that. There's maybe another 5 rounds. And Dasha Burns had a witness that she just interviewed, and he talked about he counted 7 rounds. And that was close. I don't know, can't tell the exact number. I have to listen to that audio very, very closely. But I mean, that sort of jives with what the witness said. So it looks like we had an assassin with a rifle outside the security perimeter. That's why you had mentioned earlier, magnetometers. Well, if you never breach the security perimeter, nobody checks you. And the first shot or second might have been the one intended to kill the former president, but it grazed his right ear.
Yeah, Jim, let me bring back, if I can, Evie Pomporis, a former Secret Service agent again. Evie, thank you for staying with us. I'd like to get your reaction to the fact this person was firing from outside the perimeter. That raises a lot of questions about how these areas are secured.
That's one of the most difficult things when you do outdoor sites. So when we spoke before, when you look at it this way, when you're in a closed environment, where even if it's an arena, at least you're in a closed environment.
Well, y'all could think whoever the shooter was or whoever set this up, the Democrats,
You're outside. You don't have to worry
because
about
he just won the White House. No one is not going to vote for a man who got shot on the campaign trail. I'm sorry. This is your new president of the United States, and this just won it for him.
To do this.
So whoever did it, whoever set it up,
you've got the magnetometer.
he mad.
You've got the top.
Because he won now. You don't even got to do no more campaigning. He ain't got to do nothing. He won.
And can you cover everything? That's a problem. These are probably, of all the types of advances you can do, these are probably the least favorite amongst Secret Service agents because you have the inability. And even if somebody is in an elevated position or not, how do you secure all those elevated positions when you have weapons with the capabilities that are able to shoot long distances? This is what you are up against.
Yeah, and you pointed about weapons that can shoot long distances. We tend to think of those as long guns.
And I'm sorry, the American people, mainly white people, as you can see, it's not a race thing, but y'all not scared. Oh, black people, we would have been on the floor, we would have been on the ground, we would have been running up out of there. Y'all motherfuckers stayed. Y'all are some true Americans. I will give y'all that motherfucking credit, because y'all motherfuckers looking around, y'all trying to film shit. Nah, we'll worry about that shit after. That's why you notice at black concerts and stuff, it's always filmed after. You always get the end. You'll get the police taping out the body or picking up the body or breaking up the fight. But you don't get the video of when the shit is popping in our world, because, sorry, we ain't got time to be sticking around when shots is being fired. But I give it to this crowd of mainly white people. Y'all did not flinch. Much respect to y'all. Y'all troopers. And y'all guy, Donald Trump, is definitely now gonna win. No one is not gonna vote for the guy who got shot on the presidential campaign. The Democrats, they can give it up. If y'all set that up, Democrats, y'all fucked up.
Comment on everybody's ability to stay put, to not panic, and to allow the Secret Service, and also look at where that motorcade is. That vehicle where they exit him out, there's people all around, and you see everybody hold their position and allow the security team to evacuate.
Yeah, Abby, thank you for that. I should note several years ago, working on a story for the Today Show, I went to the Secret Service training facility outside of Washington, and they put me through a simulation in which I was the protectee, waving to a crowd when shots ring out. And the swiftness of these agents moving around me, getting me in the car and driving off was stunning, even though I knew it was going to come. So the training is obviously something they do. They prepare for these kind of moments. I'm sure there'll be a lot of soul searching about what happened in this case, but an impressive group of folks who put their lives on the line for these protectees on a daily basis. Evie, we'll get back to you in a few moments. I want to go back to NBC's Dasha Burns. She's outside.
Could you imagine Secret Service? Their hearts are pounding because they don't know if there's more shots coming. And you got to die for this man, whether you vote for him or not. You got to die for this man. That's what you're supposed to do. But you see, ain't none of them secret agents black, right? Once again, we is not first in line to die for nobody else. Believe that.
Absolutely right. People who came
so
to a Trump
much shout out, love, and respect goes to Secret Service, because no matter who they vote for, they have to stand there and be ready to take that bullet to the back of the head, to the front of the head, to the side of the head. They have to be ready to take that bullet for the man.
Sirkin, our cameraman, is going to show you.
Salute them, because I wouldn't do it.
Kind of in a traffic jam right now. This was a one-way in, one-way out kind of road situation. This is Butler County. It's a pretty rural county. Not a lot of big highways, not a lot of big roads. So people have been at this.
Hey, man, if you're new here, click the like, share, subscribe, hit the bell.
And still,
show a guy some love.
Processing everything that they've experienced. I want to introduce you to Tracy, who is stuck in this traffic jam right now. Tracy and Tyler, they're high school friends.
Let's look at some other stuff that's going on.
We have all evacuated. Again, press, attendees, everyone who was there is now out of the area. We are currently in the parking lot. Again, there were thousands of people at this rally, as there are at many rallies. There are a lot of cars in this parking lot, all looking to leave. As we were getting ready to speak with you, we just ran into Joe and Donna, a mother-son, who say that they were right there. They were in the area where this happened. Donna, let me start with you. First of all, are you okay?
Yes, I'm shook. I'm definitely shook up, but I'm okay. Yeah, and Trump was talking, watching him. I heard pop, pop, pop. I thought it was like a cap gun. And my son's like, "Gun, get down." And next thing you know, everybody around us was down. And then once we got down, we was up at the top of our bleacher. The men were yelling to all the snipers and all the cops to come over because he had shot a man and a woman in our bleacher. We heard the one is very fatal. We don't know that for sure, but they were down. They went out on degrees.
So Joe, what exactly did you see? Because from our vantage point, we couldn't see what was going on. We didn't see any individuals. All we could do was listen for those sounds. But what did you see?
Again, I was watching the president, and you hear the gunshots go off. Remarks from up top said that the shooter actually climbed up the back of the bleacher. And after we got down, like my mom said, there was 2 people down. They were calling for medics. We did see the 2 people that were shot, and we saw them get carried out. Like, I don't know. The one didn't look like they were okay. I hope the other one's okay, and just may God watch over them tonight.
And Dawn, you said 2 people. Were these 2 people fellow attendees of the rally? And what kind of did you see them get shot directly, or did you just see the aftermath?
No, you just heard the noise. You heard the pop, pop, pop. Seen the aftermath, and neither of them looked good. They were both down. Nobody was talking. Nobody was moving.
What was going through your mind as you were witnessing all of this?
Are they still here? And am I going to get shot? That's what's going through my mind. He's holding my hand, and we were going to get up and try to get out of here. And some gentleman there said, "No, you stay down." So we stayed down, and then we finally heard everybody evacuate, and he grabbed my hand, and we got out of there.
Jose, Secret Service spokesperson just posted on X saying an incident occurred the evening of July 13th at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. The Secret Service has implemented protective measures and the former president is safe. This is now an active Secret Service investigation, and further information will be released when available. Again, that is from the Secret Service. Everyone just absorbing what has occurred and unfolded in Pennsylvania. We're also getting reaction from a number of the...
Just tuning in, the Democrats just took a shot at Trump. They're like, yo, we can't beat him. We can't win. Biden don't want to step down. Let's take him out. And they miss, folks. They miss. Guaranteeing Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Think about it. Who in America is not going to vote for the guy that took a bullet trying to win the White House? Who's not going to vote for him? So Democrats, if this was your plan, y'all need to continue shooting, continue busting y'all guns, because he's guaranteed gonna win now. This is guaranteeing the White House for Donald Trump, because
President Biden
who's not gonna vote for him now? Think about it. Who's not gonna vote for this man? And I'ma say somebody did this. Powerful people did this, because I'm not finna believe the Lee Harvey Oswald bullshit. You can't get no gun in this area. You can't get no gun in this neighborhood, because when the president comes, it's all blocked off for blocks. So let's not believe the Lee Harvey Oswald shit. This was planned attack. They tried to take that man out, and they missed. And he's guaranteed the White House now. Guaranteed.
We do not yet have confirmation that this is where former President Donald Trump was taken, but there's a heavy law enforcement presence here. Media was across the street. We're shortly getting moved. The hospital is set up on a hillside. And there's law enforcement at the top of the hill looking down. There's also law enforcement at the top of the roof of the hospital itself. When I arrived, there was a helicopter circling the building, heavy police presence here, Lester. When I pulled up, I asked the officer how they were doing. He said they're hanging in there. Obviously, a terrifying scene here in Butler tonight. Lester?
Yeah, the access road is cut off to this area.
Hey, if you're new here, please hit the like, share, subscribe, help a brother out. It's how the big channels got where they are now. People took shots, people hit that like, people hit that share, and people sub. It's never gonna hurt you. It's only gonna help the channel. Thank you.
All right, Jillian, thanks very much. Again, we haven't had correct me if I'm wrong from the control room, but I don't think we've had a complete description of the wound suffered by the former president. We have all seen the blood coming out from near his ear, his right ear. Somebody described it as a teardrop of blood, of fresh blood. It appears he might have been grazed by the bullet, but again, we haven't received a complete medical terminology description of the wound, but it does appear that he was certainly hit during all of this. He's largely under his own power, certainly being escorted down to the armored vehicle, but again, seems to be doing okay. In fact, we heard from President Biden a while ago, who said that he appears to be okay. We should note that President Biden says he will be trying to call former President Trump at some point here in the not too distant future. And there, the signal of triumph from former President Trump as he was put into that armored car and taken to, we believe, quite possibly the hospital we were just showing you a moment ago. Our investigative correspondent Tom Winter is with us. He continues to dig out fresh details. What more can you tell us, Tom?
Lester, a couple of these things coming from official statements from law enforcement, or for 3 to 4 law enforcement officials, to myself and our colleague Jonathan Dienst. We know that the FBI is now on scene and is assisting the United States Secret Service along with the U.S. Attorney's Office in their investigation into this shooting today at the Trump rally. You were just asking a question about whether we know whether or not the former president was shot directly, either grazed in the ear or in the cheek, or whether or not this was a ricochet. That's something that they're still trying to get a handle on, and whether or not a piece of glass was what may have struck him. But either way, he obviously, from the photographs, was struck in some fashion by something. The other information that we were being told, and I'm going to bring in the reporting of my colleague Kelly O'Donnell on this as well, is that this shooting happened outside the Secret Service perimeter. So for folks that have attended any sort of political rally involving either party, involving a presidential candidate or a former president, you'll notice that if you go that you are wanded, or you have to go through a magnetometer, kind of like an airport style security, if you will. That happens within the perimeter of the event. And leading up to the event,
well, that dude is a great shot. You know, I don't know, maybe they dug up Lee Harvey Oswald and they put him out there, and you know, and he's making his magical shot because, you know, already the news is already reporting, oh, the person was out of the zone. Why are they saying that the person was out of the zone? Because they know, all smart people know, that neighborhoods are shut down when the president comes. You know, like, this shit is planned out for days. This is a rally. This is not a last minute rally. So Secret Service came into town days before. Anything next to it, anything around it is locked down, shut down. If it's a place of business, that place of business is closed for the day because they don't want nobody in that building. But they want to fool you now and say somebody climbed up on something and shot the president of the United States. That just doesn't happen in 2024, folks. So don't believe the Lee Harvey Oswald bullshit. This was planned. This was set up. The shooter missed. He dead. So we'll never know why he did it or who he was tied to, just like all the rest of them.
We're still waiting on the specific details of that, whether or not that was a counter sniper team or somebody who was close to him. I suspect we'll get more details on that closely. As far as who did this and what their motivations are, there's some background information coming into view, Lester, but as you can imagine, there are a lot of names on social media at this hour. There are a lot of names that have been mentioned to us us, and we're really trying to get a lot more clarity on that before we suggest a possible name of the individual who did this. But at this point, there appears to be no ongoing threat, and there's no indication that they're looking for anybody else. But this is now a full-blown federal criminal investigation, as you can imagine, and they will certainly try to determine whether this individual had any help. Not that we've received any indication of that, but that's obviously something that they will look into. And the type of rifle that could be used, as you would imagine, to fire from outside the perimeter to get close to that stage would be some sort of a high-powered rifle. The specific nature of that is, again, details that we're still waiting to get, Lester.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. Let me go to Kristen Welker now in our Washington, D.C. bureau, who has more. Kristen?
Well, Lester, just to reset for everyone, we are tracking the ongoing investigation that Tom was just talking about in the wake of former President Trump having been rushed off the stage after shots were fired at the Pennsylvania rally where he was speaking. To set the scene for everyone, the day started with the anticipation, the questions swirling about whether this might be the event where he announced his nominee for vice president. Obviously now the mood, the tone, the focus has shifted to this horrific act of political violence that unfolded at this Pennsylvania rally. President Biden did address the nation just a short time ago, saying this is unheard of. Everybody must condemn it. He said he had tried to speak with the former president, had not been able to, but is continuing those attempts. He's also getting briefed. I want to go to our senior White House correspondent, Kelly O'Donnell, who is following all of this along with us. Kelly, what's the latest there?
Well, from the Biden White House perspective, this is a moment for trying to get information to the president. He, of course, is in charge of the Department of Justice and the Secret Service that are, of course, the agencies that will be working on this. There is always a careful separation between the executive and the law enforcement capabilities. But that's why the Biden White House has a critical role to play to provide the resources at the federal level to investigate this. The president indicated that he also recognizes that state and local officials are very much involved at this right now. Part of what will be a question
for the rally. Mayor, if you can hear me, where were you?
There, right on the barrier when the shots rang out, and still trying to piece that together. You know, I heard those sounds, and immediately I thought I knew what I heard, but I didn't want to believe it. I thought for sure it might have been a firecracker or a gag, but by the time I heard the second one, my ears recognized the sound, and it's just a very sad situation to be in. I put my wife down to the ground and covered her up, and everybody around us, we're making sure that everybody was low to the ground and staying still and out of the way, so that our law enforcement officers and Secret Service could understand the situation. While I also was scanning because we weren't quite sure exactly at that time where the fire was coming from.
And forgive me, Mayor, I couldn't hear you for a second. Did you say that as you were hearing the gunshots and everybody dove to the ground, that you dove down and tried to cover up your wife?
I did. I tried to cover up my pregnant wife. We just found out we were expecting a few weeks ago, and I came here with her and my family today to come and bring them to hear President Trump speak. And my wife and I were blessed enough to be able to meet the president 15, 20 minutes before he took the stage, and had a pleasant conversation with him, and it was all smiles. And of course, that was stolen from us when this maniac decided to do what he did. And unfortunately, somebody in the bleachers right behind us was murdered by this monster.
And what's your reaction to that, to learn that at least one person lost their life today who was just there at the same rally that you were attending?
It's sad does not describe, what that feeling is. This individual came here likely with a smile on their face, looking for hope and inspiration, looking to hear from President Trump. In a place that is deep in the territory of blood red Trump country, and he did not get to leave here today with his life, and now his loved ones are probably wondering just how it is.
Now that's why I call bullshit, because you just seen them snipers. There's snipers all around that event. So if somebody climbed up the side of this seating and took some, they would have seen him before he took the shots, man. This was a setup.
and they fucked up. They missed, guaranteeing Donald Trump will win the presidency of the United States again.
This as an attempted assassination, unless they hear otherwise. How is an investigation like this pursued from here on?
Yes, sir. These cases are exactly what the Secret Service trains day in and day out for. Unfortunately, it puts into sharp focus that the Secret Service, as we know it today, exists due to a history of political violence in this country, and they work tirelessly every day to prevent anything but the peaceful transfer of power. In this case, the Secret Service prepares for these contingencies by having agents in place for crime scene prevention, and they perform what's known as an interim federal presence before the FBI conducts the actual investigation on an assassination attempt.
Paul, thank you so much. Forgive me. Stand by for a moment because we're just getting new information right now. I want to go back to John Carl in Milwaukee. John, you're learning more from Trump himself.
Trump. I'm going to read it to you in its entirety. He says, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known. This is Donald Trump saying nothing is known at the time about the shooter who is now dead. And here's key new information in this statement from Donald Trump. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized what was happening, and then he ends it, God bless America. So a statement from Donald Trump that he has...
You know what happened? The Democrats tried to take his ass out today. They like, we can't beat him. Biden won't step down. We gotta shoot him. We gotta get him. They missed.
Expressing his condolences to somebody at the rally who was killed, another person that was injured. That statement from Donald Trump.
And now John, as you've been with us for hours now, it's the puzzle pieces are starting to come together, at least in terms of the event today and what happened. You know, we don't have the who and the why yet, but we're starting to get the how and how this all played out tonight, because we saw earlier those images.
Come on, man. If you're new here, man, click that like, share, subscribe, man. Hit the bell so you can get notifications. It only helps the channel. This is how little channels get big. People giving them a shot.
I know that politics isn't really at the center of the conversation in this moment, but I can't help but just point out that you're standing in Milwaukee, at the headquarters of what is supposed to be the Republican National Convention this week, major events that were supposed to take place. How do you expect that not only the Trump campaign, but the Biden campaign will then respond to all of
Trump
this?
Don't even gotta do no more. He won now. Who gonna not vote for the guy who got shot on the campaign trail?
What we're seeing immediately is a pause to the political, to this very heightened stage of this campaign. The Biden campaign has said that they have they've closed off all outbound communication. They're attempting to take down their television advertising across the country right now. We've seen statements come in from across the political spectrum. Former presidents, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, the current president, Joe Biden, who we've heard from both in a statement and in a live statement.
Yeah, you heard from all the Democrats because they know, damn, we messed up, man. We missed them, man. I thought that was our best shooter. I thought we dug up Lee Harvey Oswald, man. What happened, man? Yeah, of course you heard from
Trump's allies, from those who were adamantly opposed to him. But there's something else we're seeing that I have to say. We're already seeing some very divisive rhetoric, in an attempt to politicize what has been roundly condemned by everybody. You have seen some of the president's allies suggest that Joe Biden himself bears responsibility because of the rhetoric that we've seen in this campaign. We saw a statement to that extent coming from J.D. Vance, one of those who's waiting right now to find out if he's going to be Donald Trump's running mate. We've seen a member of Congress say much the same.
Incredibly fast response. And you saw the response, Lester, in one of these remarkable moments as it unfolded in some quarters, in some places.
A pause, universal condemnation, but the early indications are that that's just not going to last very long. It could get ugly very soon. There should be a moment where the country has a wake-up call that the
Come on, man. If you're new here, if you're just stopping by, click that like, share, subscribe. It ain't gonna hurt you. It's only gonna help the channel. You hate me that much to watch the video and not hit the like button for a person? Please.
In this campaign, even before this campaign, this should be a time for people to say it's time to step back, make it clear that violence has absolutely no place in American politics. But I think what you're also going to see is while this campaign is for the moment in a state of shock and pause, it's a campaign that seems like it is very well going to come back with a vengeance.
And on that point, this is going to be a huge test, no matter how you slice it in this.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We are coming on the air with breaking news. There has been an incident at Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rally. It appears shots have apparently been fired and Donald Trump has been injured. I'm going to pause to let you see the video as it played out.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Like, you see him, he hit. Democrats did it.
Move! Up! Move! Go! Up! Talk on chair. So here's what we know at this hour. What sounds like shots rang out. The former president grabbed his ear, and as he fell, was immediately surrounded by security behind the podium. And as you can see in these images, he was shortly rushed off the stage. This is an emerging situation. NBC's Dasha Burns is at that Trump rally north of Pittsburgh and joins us now. Dasha, what do we know?
Jose, we're still waiting to confirm a lot of the details here. A lot of question marks still up in the air. Here's what I can tell you from my vantage point, because I was standing right here as Trump first came onto the stage. He was just a few minutes into his speech at this rally. I was in front of a camera, and I was walking off of the press risers here down below to the ground level where all of the general attendants are, as we heard what sounded like gunshots ring out. My producer and I ran to take cover, as did several of the people that are in attendance here. Most people ducking down, the press that were behind the risers, press that were at our media tables, ducking down under the tables as we weren't sure what was going on. Our crew who was up on the stage captured some of that video that you showed, the former president getting protected by his Secret Service. They covered him. He looked to have some blood on his face. It looked like his ear was bloody. A lot of chaos and confusion. No one was sure where the gunshots that sounded like gunshots were coming from. The former president, as we know, is now inside the motorcade. He may at this point be off-site. The folks here are now evacuating. A lot of confusion, some anger, people yelling at the press.
In Butler, Pennsylvania, at approximately 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time, a suspected shooter fired multiple shots toward the stage from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. The Secret Service personnel neutralized the shooter, who is now deceased. The Secret Service, the statement says, quickly responded with protective measures, and former President Trump is safe. One spectator was killed, 2 spectators were critically injured, and the incident is under investigation. That's an official statement from the U.S. Secret Service. Law enforcement sources tell ABC News the shooter was at a distance of 200 to 300 yards away in an elevated position. He was on a rooftop adjacent to the venue, and those same law enforcement sources are telling ABC News he fired as many as 8 rounds from an AR-15 style rifle.
And Aaron, this information that you bring us also lines up with what we've been hearing from witnesses. Many of those who were fleeing the venue itself, talking about a separate location, a rooftop that was then taped off with caution tape. The law enforcement dogs were searching the area. So again, as we've been on the air now for a number of hours, it's sort of this drip, drip, drip of information. But I wanted to pick up, Aaron, with a question that I was thinking about when Rick Klein was talking there from Milwaukee. Because even though, and you know this because you've done so much reporting about the heightened threat level across this country and the warnings that law enforcement have had about the threat of political violence. In this situation where they're treating it as a potential assassination attempt, law enforcement across the country must just be scrambling to sort of change their protocols and procedures to try to deal with any sort of massive event, especially as it pertains to any political venue.
Well, the political venues are usually come upon quite quickly. The campaigns will choose them. The Secret Service will do some kind of a security assessment and do what they think they need to do to keep the protectee, in this case, former President Trump, safe. Now, they undoubtedly would have accounted for nearby rooftops. We'll wait to see whether this individual, this shooter who is now dead, was in position beforehand, or whether may have tried to access the rooftop while in full view of others, and how police and the Secret Service may have reacted to that. But this is certainly going to have an impact on how police and the Secret Service go about securing these venues in the future, especially at a time when the threat environment in the country is so complicated, all the more so by the rather heated political environment we're in now, just months before the next presidential election.
And Aaron, another thing that you've reported on in the past, and I think it's worth noting here, because we don't know the motive behind this attack. We don't know who this shooter was. So that information is still to come. But regardless of whether that specific threat was neutralized, right, if it was one shooter or if there are other people who could have been involved, regardless of that fact, Aaron, you often talk about the threat of a lone wolf who could be inspired by an event. And so law enforcement has to be looking at this and also saying, okay, well, it's one thing to foil a potential plot. It's another thing if you've got somebody with a grudge who's motivated by what they saw on TV.
And I think any law enforcement official would tell you those are notoriously difficult to detect and to stop, because there is almost no warning. And how many of these security bulletins, intelligence bulletins do we see where a lone actor is identified as the most significant threat, somebody who is willing to use violence, and in this case, we believe an AR-15 style rifle, and willing to do so without any apparent warning. So right now, the authorities no doubt know who the shooter is. They've undoubtedly identified the person by now and are going through social media, talking to witnesses, acquaintances, relatives, friends, anyone they can find to give them a sense of what the motive might have been. But the stark reality is that a lone actor who is willing to use a gun is very, very difficult to detect and to stop.
Aaron Katersky, thank you so much. As we come up on the top of the hour here at 9 p.m. in the East, I'm Whit Johnson in New York, and if you're just joining us, we are following all of these major developments after the shooting at a campaign rally. Former President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania,
that pierced the upper part of his right ear. He says he felt it ripping through his skin. What I want to do here is pause for a moment, and we're going to roll the video of what happened just shortly after 6 p.m. here on the East Coast while Mr. Trump was speaking. Listen closely also to the sound of the gunshots and what's heard of the moments right after that until he is rushed into the car. Here it is.
A little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Ready? Move! Up! Move! Go! Up! Talk on here. Get ready. Get ready. You ready? Stop. Stop. Good. First down. Good to move. Good to move. Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold up your head, buddy. So we gotta move to the club. Watch out.
If you've been away from your TV sets or the internet for the last couple hours, the future president of the United States, Donald Trump, has been shot. I guess you can say he's been shot at one of his rallies. And whoever did this, whoever took part in this, that was dumb. You only guaranteed that he will be the next president of the United States, because who will not vote for the man who was shot on the campaign trail? If you watched this video, thank you. Hit that like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Click all so you can get notifications every time I do these videos. And like I always say, it only helps the channel. Stop being on here looking at content and stealing. I call y'all content stealers. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, help the channel grow, even if you never watch a goddamn video on the channel again. Why not? But if you're a supporter of the channel, much love and respect goes out to you. I salute. And if you're one of them haters, man, cut the shit.